Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here today for Simon Says Stamp with a couple of Celebrating Mothers cards. This features the 2020 Celebrating Mothers card kit. This is a limited edition card kit, perfect for Mother's Day and beyond. Anytime that you want to create a card celebrating mom, this is a fantastic card kit. I'm creating a couple of cards here, one a little bit quicker and easier with a fun little touch, and then one that takes a little bit more time but still is fairly easy, just a little bit more stamping and a little bit more coloring involved with this one. So we're going to start with the watercolor card first. I am using images from the stamp set included in the kit. This is a 6x8 stamp set called Mom's Meadow, and it's a beautiful floral themed stamp set with all kinds of fantastic sentiments to build different greetings for Mother's Day, moms, appreciation for moms, those kind of things. And you can use the florals for sure with other sentiments as well. So very versatile stamp set here. I am taking a 4 by 5¼ inch panel of Bristol smooth cardstock and stamping it with the large collage of flowers, once at the bottom and once at the top. I am simply going to flip my panel around and stamp it again so it's exactly in the same position in both places on my panel. I'm using Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink and heat embossing with white embossing powder to create my background design. I love a white embossed outline when doing some watercolor coloring with the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. The watercolor line is going to just kind of, or pardon me, the embossed line is going to kind of help hold the color in each of the individual little areas of the leaves and the flowers, and it just really kind of makes that watercolor whole thing so quick and easy. So here I'm simply flipping it around. We're going to stamp it again. And then that little center space between our two floral clusters is going to be the perfect spot to add a sentiment. I'm going to use stamps from the stamp set, but you could also use dies. You could stamp your sentiments on separate pieces of paper and pop them up. You could die cut a window here if you wanted to. Lots and lots of different things you can do here. After I stamp and emboss my sentiment in the center, which I'm going to do after I do all of my coloring, I did go ahead and add the butterflies from the stamp set, which is going to, because right now it's pretty symmetrical. We've got the same thing on the top as we do on the bottom. So once we add in those butterflies, it's going to give it a little bit more of a asymmetrical kind of look and just add another element, and I'll also add some additional color to that center section. But I want to wait until I've stamped my sentiments so I know exactly where I have to go with those images. I am adding my color in to the leaves right now with light green and yellow green. At all times in this video, or at least for the first collage, because the second one is exactly the same, I have listed the colors I'm using across the top of the screen for easy reference. Plus, I have listed these out on my blog post so that if you're wondering what color combinations I'm using, you can easily find that information there. These are a lot of my favorite Zig Clean Color Real Brush Marker color combinations. I get asked a lot about my favorite colors, about what set I use, and I always answer this, but I just want to bring it up again. I actually did not buy a set when I bought mine. I bought my markers individually so that I could pick and choose exactly the colors that I wanted. And for the most part, I go back to the same ones over and over. I have a few additional ones besides the favorite color combinations that I will pull out every once in a while. But honestly, the colors in this video and in many of my other videos are my most often used colors. The other question I get about the Zigs a lot is how many times I've replaced the markers, because they are not a refillable marker. These are water-based markers. I have only replaced the blender, and it just kind of dried out. I don't really know that I used all of it. I might have. So I replaced the blender, and I've replaced sugared almond pink, which I did use in the pink flower, but that was because I ruined the tip of the marker, not because it was out. I went to put it back in the case, and I missed and got it stuck in the lid, and it separated the bristles of the marker so it didn't have that beautiful fine tip to it. And no matter what I could do, I couldn't fix it. So I did replace that one. Otherwise, I've been using these for years, and I have not replaced any except for that blender and that one marker that I ruined the tip. They do last a long time. I love them. You probably have noticed that. I use them for no line coloring a lot. I use them for watercolor effects like this, where I'm laying down a dark color, kind of pulling that out with a light color, and then I'm taking a water brush pen and pulling that color out more because I want it to have a watercolored effect. If you don't want it to look quite this watercolored where it has those splotches and things in the leaves, you can simply just pull that color out with your lighter color, or even grab your blender to do all your shading. And that is beautiful as well. So I do all of those techniques with these markers. I really, really love them. So next, to make that white outline really show up, I love adding a color to my background, but generally it's something really light. And for this, I went super, super light with green shadow, which is kind of a great minty type of color. So I'm kind of tracing around my images and then pulling the color away with my water brush pen for a beautiful watercolored background. I am going to do this to the entire kind of first half of my card, if you will. And then you'll notice that I'll go to the other side, the other stamped image, and I'm actually going to do my outline first. And then I will pull that even further to the center. I want that really light wash of mint color to kind of meet in the center. So it has a touch of color, but it's not overpowering. We definitely want the focus to be on the beautiful floral frame around the design. And the water brush pen works fantastic for this. It's just super quick and easy. And I'm going to continue to kind of pull that color out and down until you can see, you can definitely see where I have colored and where I haven't. So now I'm simply just going to the other side around the outline of the embossed image, and I'm going pretty heavy-handed, much more heavy-handed than I went with the images that were already colored. And this is kind of for two reasons. I definitely want more color to pull towards the center, and I don't have to worry that I might grab a pink or a red and accidentally pull that into the mint wash, which I had to worry about since I colored those other colors first. If you accidentally touch those, they can bleed out into the rest of the design, unfortunately, because these are all water-based markers. So now that I have the majority of that wash, at least along the top edge of that, I'm going to go ahead and start coloring in, mostly because it helps me see where I will need to go in and fill in with my background color later, because it can be kind of hard to see with a white on white background. We're going to completely copy what we did at the top of the card. So anything that was the green leaves are obviously all going to be the same. The yellow little sunflower or daisy flowers are going to be bright yellow and yellow with mid-brown centers. This is green shadow for the outline, light green and yellow green for leaves. The red flower is carmine red and light carmine. Our pink flowers and the little pink buds are all going to be peach pink and sugared almond pink. And we're copying exactly what we did at the top of the card. And then because I am applying and adding water to this, I will need to let this completely dry, or I'll need to hit this with a heat tool before we move on to the next step so that embossing powder doesn't stick to anything on my card. I will also be using a powder tool to kind of deactivate and hopefully keep the embossing powder directly on the sentiments so it doesn't migrate anywhere else, because I will be using a different color of embossing powder for the sentiments than I used for the florals. We're just gonna, I kind of started at one side and worked my way across as I found that that was the easiest way to hopefully not miss any little areas. It can always be so tricky when working with white on white, when you've embossed white on white paper. And I generally like to start in one area and kind of work my way so that I can make sure that I'm coloring everything correctly. And once I get to a certain point and I can see all the rest of the leaves, I went ahead and just kind of filled those in. And then I will fill in the remaining little flowers or anything else that's left, the background, all of those great things. So as I was mentioning at the beginning of the video, I was kind of laying out my sentiments that I wanted to use in the center. This stamp set's fantastic because you can definitely mix and match and create a lot of different sentiments with the words and phrases you get in the stamp set. And I'm just going to put Mom up here and then stamp the phrase that has 3 lines of text. It really fills in beautifully and I love it. It says, "Thank you for being there for me every step of the way." So this is going to go in the center, and once I figure out the placement for those sentiments, I can add my butterflies. And because, again, water-based markers, I can color over this wash background, and because it's very, very light, you're not going to be able to tell. So the butterflies I actually stamped, embossed, and colored over that mint wash background. I'm going to kind of lay them out, get my placement all down, and then we're going to stamp our sentiments first. The contrasting color of embossing powder we're going to use is antique gold. I thought white might kind of get lost in the center here. We have a really light wash background and I want the sentiment to show up, and I didn't want to use a black ink or really a colorful ink, and I thought the antique gold would be nice and subtle but still very legible and easy to read and go with the colors of the card. So we'll stamp those and then emboss that with antique gold Simon Says Stamp embossing powder. Then we're just going to take our butterflies, and I love that there's kind of 2 side view butterflies and then 1 full front of butterfly. So lots of different options, and I'm going to use all of them because I really wanted to add in 2 on one side and 1 on the other for that visual triangle, and to pull in a couple of other colors into this card. It's beautiful as is. You could totally leave it like this and not add the butterflies. I think that would be a beautiful option as well. If you want though, the butterflies are so much fun. I'm going to do 1 kind of looking like it's gonna set down on the leaf, 1 that looks like it's flying into the word Mom, and then the last butterfly will just kind of do off to the side on the right of the card. I'm going to use my powder deactivation tool first and then stamp those butterflies. And I did stamp them twice just to make sure I had a really nice crisp outline. We'll heat emboss back with our white embossing powder now so it matches the rest of the floral design on our card. We'll heat emboss these and then we'll stamp that final butterfly before we add color to the butterflies. And as I mentioned, I used different colors than I used for any of the florals on the card. So the first butterfly that we're going to color, I'm going to use violet and light violet for a purple butterfly. That's going to be the butterfly sitting on top of the word Mom, or kind of looking like it's going to land on the loop in the word Mom. Laid down a little violet first, blended out with light violet and then with the water brush pen. Then we're going to take turquoise green and green shadow for the second butterfly that is kind of landing over there on the leaf. And green shadow was, yes, used for the background, but it's my favorite color to blend with turquoise green, so we get that great turquoisey aqua color for this butterfly. Blend it out with the water brush pen again. And finally, we're going to take orange and pale orange for our last butterfly. So when you kind of look at this all together, there is all the colors of the rainbow included in this card. It's just a very pastel rainbow, which I think works really nice for spring. We're going to adhere this panel then, which is slightly smaller than A2 sized, to a white top fold card base. That's going to leave us a nice white border all the way around. And we're going to take some of these awesome Doodlebug stickers included in the kit and add some of the little droplets throughout the card for a fun touch of dimensional embellishment, and that will finish off our card design. There are 3 envelopes from Simon Says Stamp included in the kit, and so I paired my cards with one of the envelopes, which I totally love. For our second card, we are going to foil one of the leafy frames included in the kit with some of the spring green foil that also comes in our kit, and then add stickers and a little bit of stamping. So this frame is on a piece of clear acetate, and it's been printed. And if you use the dull side, you can foil that if you run it through a laminator, which is so much fun. So I simply took some of the foil included, I took the frame, and I'm going to run it through the Heidi Swapp Mink machine, and it's going to foil that black printed frame with the green foil. You do want to make sure that you foil the right side. You get a couple of these in the kit, and I'll tell you I messed up the first one. I did it backwards, and I actually foiled my sheet that the folder that goes through the laminator. So there was that, but then I got it right the second time, and it's this beautiful foiled frame that just looks so stunning. I'm going to layer it over some of the green leaf cardstock from the kit. This measures 4 by 5 1/4, so again slightly smaller than A2 sized. And then I'm going to use the Doodlebug sticker that comes in the kit. I'm using it as a guide to know where to put my sentiments. We're going to use sentiments from that same Mom's Meadow 6x8 stamp set included in the kit. And we're going to stamp those kind of so that it appears to be down below where that little envelope that's bursting with flowers goes. Because we're stamping on acetate, I am using white Stazon ink. I'm going to stamp that right there, and because it's going to be layered on this beautiful dark background, it's going to show up really nice. Around the border of my card, I'm just taking some thin 1/8 inch double-sided adhesive and framing that up, and then I'm just going to pull it halfway off on all 4 sides. I'm using the tool-in-one to help pull that up, fold it over on itself, and then line it up with my background panel. And because I only pulled half of it off, I'm easily able to just pull that adhesive off, and it's lined up perfectly. We're going to add our little sticker from the kit in place right above our stamped sentiments. And one of my little pieces fell off, so I'm gluing that back in place. There's some little dimensional embellishments on this, and so I just trimmed or adhered the one that fell off there. And then I am going around and just trimming off that clear acetate piece that extends beyond the foiled area, gluing that to a white top fold card base, and then that sticker sheet that I used all the little drops from for the first card has tons of stickers still left. So I'm actually going to take these and adhere them around the leafy border around my frame to just kind of tie in all of these cute little florals. And I even adhered some of the stickers with foam adhesive so that they have a little bit more dimension around the perimeter of the frame. And that's really just going to kind of tie it all together. So it's so much fun that Simon included these foiling sheets in the kit so you're able to get some really cool results. Kind of hard to photograph, but it looks so neat in real life when you tip it at an angle and that foil just plays with the light so beautifully. Kind of gives a little bit of an elegant feel to the card that really makes it special. So this one was a little bit more quick and easy, but that foiled frame border just kind of takes it up a little bit, takes it up a notch. That is going to be it for my Mother's Day cards. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these 2 cards featuring the Simon Says Stamp 2020 Celebrating Moms Card Kit. The supplies I used to create these cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more cards featuring Simon Says Stamp, stamps, dies, and other products that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.